Hey guys, it's Sarah. Today's video is going to be my eyeshadow roulette round 2 for 2020. So if you're new to this series, it's one of my favorite series that I do on my channel. It is inspired by the Pan Those Eyeshadows Project Pan that was started by Alexandra Shoston here on YouTube, and I've adapted it a little bit to be not so focused on hitting pan, but it's a way for me to just rotate through all my eyeshadows, pair different colors together, and just have fun and be creative with what I already have in my collection. So what I'm going to be doing is using a random number generator to pick 5 random pans of eyeshadow from my collection. It seems like most of you really liked the way that I did my video last month, where I not only picked the 5 shadows, but I also showed me using all 5 of them on my eyes in the same video. I used to do a separate get ready with me later in the month using all 5, but I felt like that was kind of anticlimactic, and it kind of just makes sense to consolidate the 2 into one video so that you can already see how they work together. And then throughout the month, I'll just be trying to use each shade as much as I can, come up with different looks. This time around, I didn't take progress photos. Honestly, I just forgot. Sorry about that. I usually like to take a picture of each shadow at the beginning of the month and at the end of the month to show you if I made any progress. So I'll start by just giving you a little recap on the 5 shadows that I used in January, and I apologize I don't have any progress photos to show. I doubt they would have been very exciting because I did not hit pan on any of these shades. I wasn't expecting to. I will show you some photos that I took throughout the month of different ways that I wore them. So first, there were 2 ColourPop singles in this round. The first one was Paper Tiger and the other one was Snake Eyes. I love both of these shades. I never would have thought to pair these 2 together, but there were a few times that I did, and there was also another time where I featured this shade all over the lid. I actually showed you that look in my January bonus vlog, but I never expect this shade to be very flattering on me when I look at it in the pan, so I'm glad that this month I was challenged to use it. It's a lot more flattering on the eyes than I ever really thought it was, and I hadn't used it all that much before this month, so really fell back in love with that shade. Snake Eyes also is a beautiful color just for all over the lid, and I noticed that it will kind of take on different tones depending on what you pair it with. So it's just this really pretty like lavender taupe color, and it's got a little bit of rose gold in it too. It's just really pretty, very multi-dimensional, and I feel like it'll kind of go with anything, even if you wouldn't think so looking at it in the pan. It really does just get along well with a lot of colors, I feel like. So loved using both of those this month. Then I had 2 dark matte shades. One of them was the shade Friendly in the Balm Nude Dude Palette. It's this dark eggplant shade. I used that a lot in the outer corner. It's a fine color. It looks like I made no progress at all on that shade. It's so dark that I, barely pick up any on my brush when I use it because I just don't want to go overboard. But it is a really nice color for deepening up the outer corner, and it's a little bit different than your average, like, dark brown or something. The other dark matte shade was a brown. The shade Smooth from the e.l.f. Opposites Attract palette. The sun is going in and out. It's one of the negative sides of using natural lighting. This shade I mostly used as a liner for my lower lash line, and it's fine. Just a normal dark brown, nothing that makes me super excited. And then finally, there was actually a shade chosen from the new palette in my collection. This is the Shared Planet Polar Bear palette. I actually did a video, 3 looks 1 palette with this, so if you're curious to see other ways that I used it, definitely check that out. But the shade Icy was the one that was chosen this month, and this one I mostly used as an inner corner highlight, and it's really beautiful for that, really brightening. Honestly, it's nothing special, I guess, but I really liked using it for that purpose, and gave me some more excuses to use this palette. Really loving this palette at the moment. So those are my thoughts on the 5 shadows that I had been working on in January. Again, I didn't hit any new pans, but I wasn't expecting to, and that's not really the goal for me. So now it's time to choose 5 new shadows for February. This is like my favorite moment of the month. It's just always so exciting to see what I end up getting. So I've pulled up my list. I went ahead and added the few eyeshadows that have been added to my collection in the last month. They're all from e.l.f. actually. One was one of their new bite-sized eyeshadow quads in Pumpkin Pie. And then I also got 2 free gifts with purchase, both of which were eyeshadows. So one of them is this Best Friend eyeshadow duo in Peach Squad, which I haven't even used yet, and then also this liquid eyeshadow. It's their Beautifully Bare soft matte eyeshadow or something like that in the shade Soft Beige. So those have all been added to the list, and I also went ahead and took out the shadows that were chosen in January. I always want to keep the list fresh. I don't really want repeat shades in the mix, so those have been removed. And then I also took out any shadows that are in my project pan currently because I'm already focusing on those anyway. So without further ado, let's choose 5 new shadows. So excited. Just pulling up the Pretty Random app. It's a great app for just choosing random numbers. So with all that added and subtracted, we're left with 165 shadows. So the first number I got is 32. Next I got 93. Hang on a second, I need to write these down. Next I got 20, 8, and 84. Okay, so 32 is from Subculture, and it is the shade Dawn, which is a super useful shade. Okay, I actually think this is one that I could potentially hit pan on. It's just this light beige color. I always use that to start out my look in the crease pretty much anytime I use this palette. It's just a great starter shade. These shadows, especially the mattes, are very soft, so I think I could use that up, especially because it's such a universal shade. 93 is from another one of my favorite palettes, the Bili Beauty Eyes of India palette, and it's the shade Mehendi. Ooh, okay, it's this rust, like a matte rusty red color. Ooh, that is gorgeous. Okay, the next number was 20, which is from my Anastasia Soft Glam palette, and it's the shade Dusty Rose. I also love that color. There's that. So far all matte right now. Next was the number 8, which is another shadow from my theBalm Nude Dude Palette, and that is the shade Fine, which I think is just the last shade here. It's this sort of dark brown. It's not matte though, it's kind of slightly shimmery. Not my favorite color in this palette. It honestly just looks a little bit muddy, I guess. Okay, and then finally the number 84 is another ColourPop single shadow, and in the shade Wait For It. Okay, so this is one of my favorites from ColourPop. It is this matte peach. Okay, so this is a really interesting mix of colors. Mostly matte, a lot of different tones here. I guess it's time to put these on my eyes. This actually might be a little bit challenging. All right, well, I'm gonna start with the shade that I know what to do with, which is Dawn from Subculture. This shade right here. I'm just going to throw a little of that in my crease. So next, I'm just going to take a slightly smaller crease brush and dip into Dusty Rose from Soft Glam and just put that in the crease, kind of target it more just in the crease rather than going super high up with it. What do I do with the rest of these colors? Maybe I'll take a little of the peach and just start putting it on my lid. You're not allowed to make fun of me if this turns out badly. I don't think I've ever put this shade just all over my lid. Just taking it all across, because why not? Okay, so we're 3 shades down, 2 to go. I'm gonna dive on into Mehendi here. Using my e.l.f. detail crease brush for this. Just taking a tiny bit, and I'm just gonna use this in the outer corner. This is a beautiful shadow. It's very smooth and blendable. It's an odd combination we've got going on here. I may end up pulling in some shadows that are not in this set of 5 just because I feel like it might help. But I have to say, I do like the way it's all blending. I have to give some of the credit to that Subculture Dawn shade, because I think that it just makes everything glide on top of it really nicely. So I'm just gonna be boring and use Fine from theBalm, that last shade, as a lower liner. Is it me, or is this particular palette always getting picked for these roulettes? I like this palette, it's a great palette. I do want to pull in, I think, Fairy from Soft Glam. Just put a little of that on my inner corner just to add a little brightness to this look. Or I guess brightness isn't the right word because it's very bright, but it's just something extra. I guess you'd call this an editorial look. Is that what you'd call it? I think I want to use a little of my Stila Glitter and Glow in Gold Goddess as a winged liner. How about that? In case this look wasn't already interesting enough for you. I'm just gonna use this angled eyebrow brush from Profusion. Oh, that's pretty. It's actually doing a good job. I was afraid it might not show up very well. Just gonna finish off with my trusty Flower Lash Warrior. Mascara always makes things better. I am just gonna clean up a bit with Fearless from theBalm. This shade I'm super close to hitting pan on. Like, it's gonna happen any day now. Time for putting something on the lips. I think I'm just gonna do a combo of one of my favorite nudes, which is the Wet n Wild Mega Last lipstick in Never Nude, topped off with some gloss. This is ColourPop Champagne Mommy. I'm thinking like a nice warm glossy lip would be the way to go. Wet n Wild, by the way, is not cruelty free, but I still do use this product because I have it already. There it is. You know what? I don't hate it. I feel like most of the time, more often than not, the colors that get picked already just so happen to be really cohesive and work together pretty easily. So this was actually quite a challenge for me. Pretty much all mattes except for that one like kind of satiny brown, but I really don't mind it at all, and I actually really like that gold inner corner. I think that added something kind of fun and just brightened up the eye a little bit. So there you go, that's round 2 of my eyeshadow roulette. Like I said, I'll be continuing to play around with these shadows throughout the month. I have a feeling more often than not I'll just be using 1 or 2 shades here and there rather than the whole group all together all the time, but this was a really fun challenge. Let me know what you think of this look. I don't know, I think it's kind of fun. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I do post these videos monthly at the start of each month, so make sure to subscribe if you'd like to see more, and I hope to see you very soon in my next video. Bye.